Hello, you're watching The Code Guy and we're continuing our beginner's Python course. So far, everything we've done has been linear. So the program starts, it runs through its statements, and it ends. This is all very well and good, but very few programs actually work this way. So in this one, I'm going to show you how to control program flow and looping, so that we can jump over sections and repeat sections of code over and over. And in learning this, we're going to produce a guess the number game. And I do suggest you code along with me. That's the best way of learning programming. If you just watch it or read it, you'll forget it. Okay, let's start PyCharm. And we're going to create a new file. So new Python file. And we're going to call it guess number. Okay, so in our guess number file, the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to reuse other people's pieces of code, which we're going to do a lot in Python. So anything that actually you write or someone else has written or even part of the Python library, we can just use. And the way we do that is we can import it. So I want the random functions because we need to create a random number. So we could do import random, and that would give us all the functions from random to be able to use in our code right now. Instead, we only need one, so I'm just going to import one. And the way we do that is from random, we're going to import randint, which is random integer. And the system will help you pick out the functions. Okay, so in a guess the number of programs, what kind of variables are we going to need? We're going to need the actual number you've got to guess. So let's do num to guess. And that we are going to just use our new function randint. And I happen to know the parameters are the lower bounds and the upper bounds inclusive. So 1 and 100 will generate a random number between 1 and 100. And if you actually hover over these functions, it'll actually show you returns a random integer in range AB, including both endpoints. So that's a number to guess sorted out. And we're going to want to also have the actual guess of the user. I'm going to set that to 0 for now. And then we're going to want a number of tries. So let's do tries remaining. And 7 seems like a nice number to pick. What we want to do is collect user input and keep collecting it until they actually enter a number that's right, because if they enter a letter or something, we have a problem. So the way we're going to do that is while, and this is a while loop. So while something is true, it's going to loop over everything underneath. So while guess equals 0. And you'll see now that the code is actually indented for us. And in Python, indentation really controls what the program flow is. So underneath the while loop, everything at the same indent will run in that while loop. In other languages, you'd see something like this, while guess equals 0, and then you'd have these brackets. Python really doesn't need the brackets. And this colon is basically a way to say, hey, I finished my statement. Because we might want guess equals 0 and tries remaining is greater than whatever. So you can do or and with different conditions. But we're going to leave that for now. And then we're going to say, okay, get me, so let's do a temporary guess. And that's equal to the input. And we'll just say enter your guess. This is a string, so it's got to be in quotes. As we mentioned in variables, this defaults to a string. And if that string doesn't convert to a number, we have a problem. Thankfully, the string has some helper functions. So if we do temp guess dot is, and you can see you've now got a couple of things. Is it uppercase? Is it lowercase? Is it a decimal? Is it alpha? Is it a number? Is it a digit? So what we're going to say is digit. And that basically means that every character in that string is either between 0 and 9. So if temp guess is digit, then we're going to make the guess equal to temp guess. And actually at this point, we're going to reduce tries by 1. And we could do tries remaining equals tries remaining minus 1. But as developers, we tend to be lazy people. So, and actually I forgot my colon at the end of there. Remember, all flow control parameters must have a colon at the end. So we're going to do tries remaining minus equals 1. that is basically shorthand for writing tries remaining equals tries remaining minus 1. So let's just test this out now. We're going to run it, enter your guess, and I should have put a space and actually a colon. Let's just stop and restart that. Enter your guess, 50. Actually, let's enter something invalid. Won't allow it through, so let's enter 50. And the program's completed. And the reason it's completed is because it was a digit. We've now gone into this if. The guess has been set to a non-zero number, and so it's exited the loop. If we hadn't set guess here, this would actually loop forever. This was all very well and good, but we don't know if we actually won. So we want to collect this input, but we want to collect it in a loop for our number of tries. And we also want to code the win condition. So first, while tries remaining is greater than 0. We could also do trials remaining not equal to 0, which would be exclamation mark equals for not equals. But we're just going to do greater than 0. Okay, so it's now going to keep trying until we run out of guesses. But what we want to do is actually write our win conditions. So if our guess equals, and the way you do equality in Python, you do double equals, not just single. Single equals is assignment. So guess equals 5 would be assignment, and double equals is check for equality, and it will return true or false, which is a Boolean. And all of this logic actually works off true or false. So this is really shorthand for if temp guess.isDigit equals true. We don't need to put the equals true because an if only works if it's true. So putting the equals to true is going to get the true, compare it to equals true, and then put true. So it just shorts out all that extra stuff. If our guess equals our num to guess, so we're going to put in u1, and let's give them the number of tries they had left. And we're going to close the string plus, and remember we can't mix an int and a string, so we have to convert our tries remaining to a string. You had plus tries left. So this will only get triggered if guess equals the number of guess. Now we probably also want to give some hints as to how far out you are. So we can do, for that, we can do else. And the way this works is it will go into the if branch. If it's true, it'll print 1, otherwise it'll drop into this else. And then in here we can do if guess is less than number to guess. We'll just do your guess was too low. And you have tries left. We can then do else, and we've already checked if it's equal to, and it's not, so we've fallen in here. Now we're checking if it's lower. So it can't be equal to, otherwise we'd have already won. And it can't be less than, so the else will be if it's greater than. So we just take this again and do your guess was too high. You have X tries left. Now the problem with this is even if we win, the code's going to continue because this loop will keep trying until we run out of tries. What we could do is create a new variable here called 1 and set it equal to false. And then in here we could just set 1 equals true. Now when we win becomes true, not basically reverses the sign of 1 to false, and so true and false would occur and this loop would exit. But let's give this, actually, before we do that, we need to set our guess back to 0 at the end. If we don't, the code will actually keep running forever, because what will happen is our guess, say we guess 50 at the start, guess is set to 50 here, we go around the loop again, guess is still 50. And so this won't run at all. It won't ask us for a try. So actually, let's actually prove that out. And I'm going to comment it out. And we're just going to run it. So enter your guess 50. And we got an issue. What is our issue? Oh, there's my issue. So we set guess equal to temp guess, which is a string. We need to convert that to an integer if it's a digit. So let's fix that. Run it again. Okay, number is 50. And there you go. It's looping through forever. So there's a couple of issues here. One, it's looping forever, as I suggested it would. But also, there's no space between tries and the number. So stop that. Let's put that guess equals 0 back in. And let's run it again. Okay, this should work now, hopefully. 50. Your guess was too high. And I've got the 2 tries here. Now, this won't change until we restart the program. So enter our guess. Guess was too high, so let's try 25. Too low. Let's try 35. Too low. Let's try 42. Too high. So it's between 35 and 42. Let's try 38. Too high. So it's either 36 or 37. And we won, with 1 try remaining. So that is a really basic guess the number game. If we wanted to avoid doing this else and if else, Python has an elif, which is basically, if not that, what about this? So we could have done elif guess is less than number to guess. And then our else would be at level with this. Because all our control flow stuff needs to be at the same level. And then the things within it are what actually run. So it's all about indentation. And that's one of the great things about Python. You cannot write badly formatted code because it won't run. The other thing I would notice that I've replaced tab with space, and PyCharm does this for you automatically. But I always suggest using an indentation of spaces, because if you mix spaces and tabs, the program will crash. Okay, so that's our program. Basically, starts at the top, and it will loop through until tries remaining is greater than 0, and we haven't won. And then it's basically just asking us to enter a number each time, checking the number against the number that we created at random, and seeing if we won. Now, another way to do this 1 equals true is we can actually get rid of the and not 1, and there's a special keyword inside of loops called break. And what that will do is it will immediately exit the loop and go to the next available line after it. So we're in this while, not this while, because remember, the guess while is indented here. This runs inside of this, not inside of this. And it's all about this indentation again. Can't stress enough. Indentation in Python is so important. So this break should kick us straight out of the loop, which is ever so slightly more efficient than checking the 2 conditions up here. So let's run this again and just test we haven't broken it. 50, too high, so let's try 25. Too low, so let's try 35. We won with 35. So that was 3 tries. And it's a game and you're a developer, so let's put in a cheat code, shall we? So in this else, we can actually do a else. If it's not a digit, then if temp guess equals cheat, actually that needs to be a string, we can just print the answer. Run that. So let's type in our special cheat command. Number's 12. And we guess first try. And actually, we haven't tested yet what happens if we never guess right. So let's just start the program again, and we're going to type 50, 50, 50, 50, 50, 50, 50, until we run out, and we have 0 tries left. And actually, that's a bit misleading. It sort of led me to believe this I was too high, but I have 0 tries left. What would be better to say is, you lost. What I would have to do here is actually check to see how many tries I had left, and then go into this one, or game over, and I have to repeat that in each branch. And in programming, repeating code by copying and pasting is bad practice. For that, we'd use something like a function, which leads me on to the next video. In our next video, we'll be showing you how to write a function so we can clean up some of the code. And if you want to check that out, it should be top left right now. And with that, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.